Due to my mom and dad's crazy work schedule, we had to go to the laundromat after 9 p.m. most weeks, and usually didn't leave until around midnight. My family and I were at the laundromat doing laundry. I hated the strong smell of detergent in the laundromat, so my mom gave me and my sister a quarter to play Miss Pac-Man at the convenience store next door. We eagerly ran the 100 feet to the convenience store. The little bell on top of the door announced our arrival. The smell of rotisserie chicken smacked us in the face the moment we walked in. Usually, the clerk had already turned off and cleaned the rotisserie, but this night I saw chicken still in there, so bonus for us. I loved that smell. No time to think about chicken. I had a quarter and I could see the blue arcade cabinet with Miss Pac-Man on the side. The store clerk must have been new. I had never seen him before, and we were in that store at least once a day. He wasn't wearing a name tag or store vest, and his jeans were filthy below the knees. He was short and rather large. He was very friendly at first, hovering around us with his hands on the side of the cabinet, watching us play and telling us stories of the many times he had held the high score on Donkey Kong and the original Pac-Man. However, he said something that I knew wasn't true. He claimed the owner of the store couldn't find anyone to train him, so he had to learn the job without any training. I knew Mr. Parsons, the owner of the store, and he never did business that way. He loved that store. He would have come in to train him. My sister and I were very good at Miss Pac-Man, so we were there for at least half an hour. Eventually, the clerk went behind the counter. I could see him watching us with an unsettling smile. We tried to ignore him and focus on the game, but we couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. When we were done, we headed towards the door. He almost sprinted to get in front of us. I was relieved when his hand went for the lock and not my head. The clerk said, "You kids should get home. It's 11:30. As we went to leave, he gave us a big smile and said, "See you soon." The next morning, we heard that the store clerk had gone missing. A man had gone into the store at 11:55, just before they closed at midnight, and the store was empty. My dad immediately called the police. The police came to our house and questioned my parents, then me and my sister. We answered all their questions and told them a clerk was in the store when we left. When the police showed us a picture, it wasn't the man we saw in the store. The police investigation revealed something that still haunts me after decades and had me looking over my shoulder from my preteen years until my 20s. The police investigation revealed that the man in the picture was the real store clerk, and he had been missing for several hours. The man my sister and I saw in the store was an imposter. The thought of being alone in the store with a stranger pretending to be someone else made us tremble with fear. Mr. Parsons was devastated about the young clerk going missing, and his convenience store closed not long after. The clerk has never been located. The perpetrator has never been brought to justice. The memory of his unsettling smile and final "see you soon" still raises the hair on the back of my neck.
I arrived at the dimly lit, empty laundromat. The smell of detergent mixed with a hint of bleach clung to my senses, but I paid it no mind. It was late, and the place was deserted, except for a single flickering light that cast eerie shadows on the cracked linoleum floor. I carefully loaded my laundry into the old, rumbling machine, selecting the longest cycle available. As the machine rumbled to life, I retreated to a corner, seeking solace in my own thoughts. It was moments like these when my introverted nature found comfort in isolation. Alone in the laundromat, Time slowed to a crawl, stretching each minute into an excruciating eternity. The weary washing machine emitted groans, its spinning cycle weaving an unsettling symphony that reverberated through the desolate space. Unable to shake my growing unease, I clutched my phone tightly, seeking a semblance of connection to the outside world. The weak signal offered little comfort, but it was my only lifeline. I texted a friend, hoping for a distraction, but received no response. As the wash cycle neared its end, a mixture of anticipation and apprehension washed over me. I watched the machine churn, my gaze never wavering. The final spin cycle began, rattling the contents inside. When the metallic door swung open, I cautiously reached inside. My trembling hands retrieved my freshly washed clothes, but as I unfolded my favorite bra, a sudden chill ran down my spine. Wrapped in the delicate lace was a small bundle, intricately tied with twine. Curiosity mingled with fear as I gingerly unraveled the bundle. My heart raced, my breath caught in my throat as I discovered a miniature voodoo doll, dressed exactly like me. Its tiny threadwork mirrored my attire, the resemblance uncanny and unsettling. The doll's beady eyes seemed to bore into my soul, carrying an air of malice that chilled me to the core. Panic consumed me, a horrifying realization that I was being watched, targeted by an unknown presence. How had this doll found its way into my laundry, tailor-made to resemble me? A wave of paranoia washed over me, and I frantically searched the laundromat for any signs of an intruder, but found nothing. The silence grew heavier, suffocating me. The flickering light above seemed to mock my terror. With trembling hands, I reached for my phone, desperate to call for help. But before I could dial a number, the lights flickered, then plunged the laundromat into darkness. The sounds of footsteps echoed from the shadows, growing louder with every passing second. Panic consumed me, paralyzing my every movement. A whisper brushed against my ear, a voice filled with wickedness. You cannot escape. My heart pounding in my chest as I fumbled blindly, trying to find the exit, phone in one hand, laundry in the other. The footsteps closed in, taunting my every move. Fear clung to me like a suffocating shroud, the darkness feeding on my terror. With a surge of adrenaline, I burst through the laundromat's door, gasping for breath. The cool night air embraced me, offering a momentary respite from the horrors within. I ran as if my very life depended on it, my mind plagued by the haunting presence that had invaded my world. To this day, I carry the memory of that haunting encounter, forever scarred by the voodoo doll's unsettling likeness. Its sinister presence served as a chilling reminder that even in the most mundane of places, darkness can lurk, weaving its evil threads into the fabric of our lives.
When I was 24, I landed my dream job. I had to move 700 miles away from anyone I knew. Being a fiercely independent woman, I welcomed this challenge. In a strange city, safety was my first concern. I chose an apartment with convenient amenities like a gym and a laundry room on each floor, all within the safety of the building. I hated doing chores, and laundry was the worst. I could never seem to just get my clothes into the washing machine, let alone fold them. I owned a dresser, but lived out of laundry baskets. Many nights, I found myself rushing to do loads of laundry after 9 p.m. just to have clean underwear for the next day. This night was no different. The clock struck 9 p.m., and I felt a sense of urgency surge through my body. I had a pile of dirty clothes to wash, and the laundry room was my only chance to get them clean before tomorrow. I rushed down the hallway, my footsteps echoing in the silence. When I reached the laundry room, I I stopped in my tracks. The washing machine was broken. I stared at it in disbelief. How could this be? I had never had a problem with the washing machine before. I checked the other laundry rooms, but they were all broken too. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't wear dirty clothes to work tomorrow, but I didn't have any other options. I stood there for a moment, paralyzed with fear. The laundromat was my only option. After a quick Google search, I found out there was one not far from me that was open 24 hours. When I got to the laundromat, it was almost 10 p.m. I drove by it every day and didn't remember ever seeing it. When I arrived at the desolate laundromat, I wrangled my basket of clothes through the front door. This laundromat looked like a frozen moment in time, with abandoned laundry machines standing silent, their windows cracked and stained. It had an unsettling odor that permeated the building, a mix of mold, dampness, and an underlying metallic tang. Two sets of flickering fluorescent lights cast irregular shadows that danced along the walls. There were 4 washing machines and 4 dryers, a table for folding, and a women's restroom and a men's restroom facing each other down a long hall with a door in the middle that looked like it came from a haunted house. Although the laundromat appeared big from the outside, it was actually quite small. The fluorescent lights flickered above me as I loaded my clothes into the machine. I was all alone in the laundromat, or so I thought. As I sat there waiting for my clothes to finish washing, I began to think about how quiet it was. No passing cars, not even the washing machine made a sound. I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. It was too quiet. There were no sounds. It was as if the world had gone silent. I got up and went to the bathroom. The woman's bathroom felt like I had stepped into a porthole. I left the bathroom and returned to my basket. As I sat there, I felt a strange presence. It was a bodiless force that coiled around my senses, a force that tugged at the very core of my being. I fought against its relentless pull, striving to ignore its insistent allure. No words were spoken, only a subtle, weightless touch that silently implored me to turn the knob of the door in the depths of the laundromat. As I resisted, pulsating throb reverberated within the confines of my temples, a violent clash between reason and the mystery that called me. The pulsations meandered through the labyrinth of my mind. It promised rest, a rest that awaited beyond that threshold, if only I would succumb and yield to its cryptic call. But I knew better than to give in to this feeling. I knew that nothing good could come from going through that door, so I gathered all my strength and fought back against this presence. I strained to focus on my shallow, ragged breaths, desperately attempting to curb the rising panic that threatened to consume me. But my efforts proved useless as the throbbing in my temples intensified. A relentless pounding that pulsated with alarming force. The battle within my mind reached a fever pitch, an onslaught of contrary thoughts and conflicting emotions that surged like a hurricane. Every fiber of my being screamed for me to resist, to break free from the unseen grip that urged me toward the ominous door. Beads of perspiration formed on my forehead, a chilling testament to my mounting fear. My eyes, heavy with tension, fought against the tremendous weight of the unknown force. Each attempt to open them met with resistance, as if an invisible hand pressed down upon my eyelids, determined to keep me in darkness. As the pressure became unbearable, a sudden surge of determination coursed through me. With a defiant surge of willpower, I willed my eyes to open, the lids reluctantly parting to reveal the dreaded sight before me. There I stood, paralyzed in terror, mere inches away from the foreboding door. My trembling hand, seemingly detached from my own preservation, hovered above the cold, metallic doorknob. A strange, unsettling calm settled over me, while an unnerving hush descended upon the laundromat, as if the air itself held its breath. With a trembling grasp, I began to turn the doorknob, a creeping sense of anxiety mingling with a baffling temptation. As the metal groaned in protest, the oppressive pressure in my head began to subside, replaced by a surge of inexplicable euphoria that coursed through every fiber of my being, combining pleasure with an ever-present unsettling darkness. Oh, how the ecstasy surged within me as I stepped through the door. The next thing I remember, I was pulling up to the gate at my apartment complex with a basket of folded clothes on the passenger seat. The days that followed my eerie encounter at the laundromat were a blur of confusion and fear. Time seemed to slip through my fingers, leaving behind vast gaps in my memory. Shadows darted in my peripheral vision, only to disappear when I turned to look at them. Nightmares plagued my restless sleep, vivid and horrifying visions that left me drenched in cold sweat. Shadows whispered secrets in my ear, their words a chilling reminder of the unspeakable horrors that could have lurked beyond the threshold of that door. In my darkest moments, a voice, both familiar and alien, would whisper in my mind. It promised answers, an end to my torment, if only I would surrender to the forgotten memories. The truth remains elusive, hidden in the depths of my fragmented mind, forever out of reach. I am left to wonder if I will ever escape this waking nightmare, or if I will forever remain a captive of my own shattered mind.